Hi children, this is your history class. We are discussing the fourth chapter, tribal, Dikus and the vision of a golden age. The last class we are discussed what are the changes that occurred in the life of tribals after the coming of the British. And we also discussed the implementation of forest law by the British. How these forest laws affected the life of the tribal people. According to the forest law, they say the forest was the property of the state. Forest was the property of the state, and it was it prohibited the free movement of the tribals in the forest, practice of gem cultivation, and were not hunting animals, collect fruits. These were prohibited. So it was the gem cultivators was in a danger. So the colonial officials made a solution, and so the gem cultivators give works in the forest department. So the Britishers got cheap labor from the tribal group. Many tribal groups reacted against the colonial forest law. So these laws were affected the tribals' life. So they reacted against the colonial forest law. They disobeyed the new rules, continued with practice that were declared illegal. Illegal ആയിട്ടുള്ള കാര്യങ്ങൾ എന്തായിരുന്നു illegal ആയിട്ടുള്ള കാര്യങ്ങൾ? That is gem cultivation, hunting of animals, collecting fruits, free movement of people in the forest. So they practiced these illegal things, and at times rose in open rebellion. So it rose to open rebellion, such as the revolt of Songram Sangam in 1906 in Assam and the forest satyagraha of the 1930s in the central provinces. So the tribals protest against the forest law implemented by the British. So there was also a problem with the trade. What are the problem with the trade? During the 19th century, tribal found that the traders and moneylenders were coming into the forest more often, wanting to buy forest produce. Why there is moneylenders coming to the forest? To buy the forest produces, offering cash loans and asking them to work for wage. It took tribal groups some time to understand the consequences of what was happening. Let us consider the case of the silk growers. എന്താണ് silk growers ന്റെ situation നോക്കാം. In the 19th century, Indian silk was in demand in European markets. Indian silk was very demanded in European markets. The fine quality of Indian silk was highly valued, and export from India increased rapidly. As the market expanded, East India Company officials tried to encourage silk production to meet the growing demand. So the Indian silk was very demanded in European markets. So the Indian company officials encouraged the silk production in India. Hazaribagh in present day Jharkhand was an area where the Sandalas reared cocoons. The traders dealing in silk sent in their agents who gave loan to the tribal people and collect the cocoons. So the Sandalas of the tribal groups called Sandalas grown cocoons in their place. So the officials sent their agents to collect these cocoons. The growers were paid 3 or 4 rupees for 1,000 cocoons. 1,000 cocoonsന് 3 രൂപയോ 4 രൂപയോ ആണ് അവർ കൊടുക്കുന്നത്. ദി ഏജൻസ് അതായത് ആർക്കാണ് കൊടുക്കുന്നത്? സന്താലാസ് ഗ്രോൺ cocoons in their place. So the officials, the company officials send some agents to the tribals groups or the Sandalas to collect the cocoons, and they give 4 or 3 rupees to 1,000 cocoons. 1,000 cocoons എടുക്കുമ്പോൾ 3 or 4 rupees ആണ് അവർക്ക് കൊടുത്തിട്ടുണ്ടായിരുന്നത്. These were then exported to the Burdown or Gaya, where they were sold at 5 times the price. 4ഉം 5ഉം ഇരട്ടിയായിട്ട് ഗയയിലും ബേർഡ് വൺസിലൊക്കെ അവർ ഈ കൊക്കൂൺസ് കൊടുക്കുകയാണ് ചെയ്തത്. സോ ദേ കളക്റ്റഡ് ചീപ്ലി ഫ്രം ദ സന്താളാസ് ഓർ ദ ട്രൈബൽ പീപ്പിൾ ആൻഡ് ഗിവൻ ടു ദ ഫോറിൻ മാർക്കറ്റ്സ് ഇൻ എ ഡബിൾ പ്രൈസ്. The middlemen, so called because they arranged deals between the exports and the silk growers and made huge profit. So the middlemen earned a huge profit. The silk growers earned very little. അപ്പോൾ കൊക്കൂൺസിനാണ് സിൽക്ക് ഉണ്ടാക്കുന്നത്. അപ്പം ഈ കൊക്കൂൺസ് ഉണ്ടാക്കുന്ന സന്താളാസ് വാസ് പെയ്ഡ് ബൈ വെരി ചീപ്പ് പ്രൈസ് ആൻഡ് ദ അതേഴ്സ് ദ മിഡിൽമാൻ ആൻഡ് അതർ ട്രേഡേഴ്സ് got a huge profit from the silk trade. Understandably, many tribal groups saw the market and the traders as their main enemies. So they consider them as the enemies. The search for work. The plight of the tribals who had to go far away from their homes in search of work was even worse. അപ്പം വർക്ക്സ് ഒക്കെ കുറഞ്ഞു വന്നു. സോ ദേ സ്റ്റാർട്ടഡ് സെർച്ചിങ് ഫോർ വർക്ക്സ് ഫ്രം ഫാർ അവേ ഫ്രം ദെയർ ഹോം. ഫ്രം ദ ലേറ്റ് 19th century, tea plantations started coming up and mining became an important industry. So in the 19th century, the late 19th century, tea plantation and mining become so developed. The tribals were recruited in large numbers to work the tea plantation of Assam and the coal mines of Jharkhand. അപ്പോൾ ട്രൈബൽസിനെ എങ്ങോട്ട് റിക്രൂട്ട് ചെയ്തു? ദ ബ്രിട്ടീഷേഴ്സ് ഗിവ് ലേബർ ഇൻ അസം ടീ പ്ലാന്റേഷൻ ആൻഡ് ജാർഖണ്ഡ് മൈൻസ്. ജാർഖണ്ഡിലുള്ള മൈൻസ് ഉണ്ട് ഫോർ മൈനിങ് ദ മിനറൽസ് ആൻഡ് ടു ഗ്രോയിങ് ദ tea. So the tribals were recruited to Assam and Jharkhand. They were recruited through contractors who paid them miserably low wages and prevent them from returning home. So they also give a low wages to the tribals. A closer look. Through the 19th and 20th century, tribal groups in different parts of the country rebelled against the changes in laws, the restrictions on their practices, the new taxes they had to pay, and the exploitation by the traders and money lenders. So the tribals started so many prevention or the protest against the Britishers and the money lenders and the traders because of the changes in law, in the restrictions on their practices and new taxes. The Kols rebelled in 1831 to 32. Sandalars rose in revolt in 1855. The Bastar rebellion in central India broke out in 1910 and the Warli revolt in Maharashtra in 1940. The movement that Birsa led was one such movement. So the tribals started so many protests against the Britishers. What are they? The Kols rebelled in 1831 to 32. The Sandalas rose in revolt in 1855. The Bastar rebellion in the central India broke out in 1910 and the Warli revolt in Maharashtra in 1940. The movement, and a man came from the tribals his name was Birsa and led a very good movement for revolution the tribals, to make changes in the life of the tribals. That was Birsa Munda. So small story there, how the Birsa Munda revolted against the British and worked for the revolution of the tribals. You can read the story, you can understand the story as a small story there in the page number 48. Please read out the story of Birsa Munda after the class. So this is all from today's class, and we are over the 4th chapter, tribals, Dikus, then the vision of the golden age. In this class we are discussed the life of tribals before and after the coming of the British. So please read the Birsa Munda, and if you have any doubts, please ask me personally. Thank you.